You go to bed feeling perfectly fine, unaware that your body is quietly preparing for a crisis. By morning, you can't move your hand, your words slur, you see your partner's face but can't speak their name. There's no pain, no warning, just the terrifying reality of waking up with a silent stroke that struck while you slept. Most people over 60 have no idea that something as simple and healthy as the nuts they snack on before bed could be the silent trigger that pushes them over the edge. This isn't about fear-mongering or sensational headlines. It's about telling the truth that too many doctors skip until it's too late. Over 1 in 4 strokes in older adults happen during sleep. You go to bed with no symptoms, your body relaxed, only for blood pressure to surge unpredictably in the early morning hours. Your blood thickens as you lie still. Your aging arteries, no longer supple and elastic, become brittle and fragile, ready to crack under pressure. And that's before you even consider what you ate. Many people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond think they're doing the right thing by choosing nuts over chips or sweets. After all, nuts are heart healthy, full of good fats, antioxidants, and minerals. But no one told them that after 60, your body doesn't process those fats, salts, and minerals the same way it did in your 30s. That late-night snack you trusted for years can quietly turn into the fuse on a powder keg, raising your risk of stroke while you sleep. As a heart doctor, I've seen this story far too often. Patients who did everything right, no sugar, no smoking, regular checkups, yet they wake up one day unable to speak or move, asking me through tears how it happened. The answer is painful to deliver. It wasn't just what you ate, it was when you ate it. Because the truth is that even healthy food can become dangerous if mistimed, especially as our bodies change with age. If you're over 60, your body's physiology at night is completely different from what it used to be. Your heart rate slows, your kidneys retain more fluid, your arteries stiffen. Blood pressure, instead of dropping smoothly overnight as it should, can surge sharply between 3 and 5 a.m. Your blood itself thickens from mild dehydration and lack of movement. Meanwhile, the nutrients you thought were helping you can make these nighttime risks even worse if you're not careful. This isn't something to dismiss or put off learning about. This is something that can literally save your life or the life of someone you love. Because a stroke doesn't just steal movement or speech, it steals independence, memories, dignity. And it doesn't give you a warning, it doesn't knock on your door before it takes everything. If you care about protecting your heart, your brain, your future, this is the moment to pay close attention. Please consider giving this video a like if you want this message to reach more people who need it, and subscribe so you don't miss critical, practical guidance designed specifically for people over 60. This is information you will not get in a 5-minute doctor's appointment or a drug ad on TV. This is the truth you need to make real, life-saving choices starting tonight. Now let's talk about exactly why the nighttime hours are so dangerous for seniors, and how the foods you eat before bed can quietly conspire against you. For most people, stroke is imagined as a sudden collapse in the middle of the day, someone slumping to the floor, unable to speak, one side of the face drooping. But the reality is often much quieter and much more sinister. In older adults, so-called silent strokes are even more common. These small, painless events damage brain tissue without dramatic symptoms, accumulating over time into memory loss, balance issues, or slurred speech that creeps up months or years later. It's easy to forget that the brain depends on smooth, consistent blood flow at night to clear out toxins, repair damaged cells, and consolidate memories. But when blood thickens, when pressure spikes, when vessels turn brittle, that flow is disrupted in ways you don't feel until it's too late. The time when your brain most needs protection is the time when many people unknowingly sabotage it with a simple bedtime snack. Consider this. In your younger years, blood pressure naturally dips at night, a healthy process that gives the cardiovascular system a break. But after 60, that circadian rhythm often breaks down. Instead of dipping, blood pressure may rise sharply between 3 and 5 a.m., catching stiff, aging arteries off guard. At the same time, lying still all night causes blood to slow down and thicken, while mild dehydration concentrates salts and proteins in your bloodstream. Now imagine pushing that thicker blood through old, brittle pipes. Even a tiny surge in pressure can be all it takes to rupture a fragile vessel in the brain or trigger a clot that blocks blood flow. This is how strokes happen in sleep, without a single symptom to wake you. And this is before you even consider the food you ate, because what you eat and when you eat it can make these natural nighttime changes either safer or far riskier. Nuts are the perfect example. They're full of healthy fats, minerals, and antioxidants. They're recommended everywhere as heart-healthy foods, but few people are told that they're only heart-healthy in the right context. As you age, your body becomes less efficient at digesting fats late in the day. Your kidneys don't flush sodium as well. Your blood vessels lose their ability to expand and contract smoothly. Even small amounts of extra salt or fat before bed can act like fuel on a smouldering fire. I want to share a comment from Diane, 68 years old, who wrote after watching a similar video. I used to eat 2 to 3 Brazil nuts before bed, thinking I was doing something good for my heart. I had no idea about the selenium overload risk for seniors. This part really opened my eyes. I'll be changing my routine immediately. She's not alone. I hear these stories all the time in my practice. People who thought they were making smart choices, who avoided sugar and junk food, only to discover that even the healthiest snack can quietly betray them if mistimed. It's not just Brazil nuts. Salted almonds, cashews, sunflower seeds, even walnuts can become risky at night because of the way they interact with an aging body's overnight physiology. Salted almonds load you with sodium that your kidneys can't clear as quickly, spiking blood pressure precisely during those vulnerable early morning hours. Cashews are rich in oxalates that can crystallize in the kidneys and irritate blood vessels. Sunflower seeds often come heavily salted and roasted in industrial oils that fuel inflammation in already fragile arteries. Even walnuts, so good for your brain during the day, can demand digestive energy and blood flow at night when your brain needs those resources to repair itself. None of this means you need to stop eating nuts. It means you need to understand when and how to eat them to keep them truly heart healthy. If you're over 60, the timing of your food isn't a minor detail. It's the difference between supporting your health and quietly undermining it. Imagine this. You finish dinner at 7 p.m., watch TV for a couple of hours, then grab a handful of salted almonds as a healthy late-night snack before bed. You think you're being good, but your body is preparing for rest. Your blood is slowing, your vessels are stiff, your kidneys are conserving fluid. That sodium load doesn't get flushed out efficiently. Your blood volume rises, pressure surges as you sleep, and your brain's fragile capillaries, under stress, may crack or clog. It's not theory, it's documented. A 2014 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that excess selenium from Brazil nuts was linked to a higher risk of stroke in older adults, especially those with kidney disease or high blood pressure. These are the details your doctor might not have time to explain in a rushed appointment. But they're details that matter if you want to protect yourself or someone you love. Now let's go deeper. Let's talk about the real science behind these changes and why your body after 60 demands a new approach to eating, even for healthy foods like nuts. So let's step back and really understand why your body changes so much after 60 and why what you eat before bed matters more than almost any other time. In your youth, your blood vessels are like flexible new garden hoses. They expand and contract easily with each heartbeat, absorbing small blood pressure changes without damage. That flexibility is your first line of defense against strokes and heart attacks. But as you age, your arteries gradually stiffen. Decades of small injuries from high blood pressure, cholesterol, inflammation, and even normal wear and tear leave them more like brittle sun-hardened hoses. They can't expand as easily to handle pressure spikes. Even small surges, like those from a salty or fatty snack, can cause microscopic tears or ruptures. That alone raises your stroke risk. But it's not the only change happening in your body overnight. When you lie down to sleep, your movement drops to near zero. Your heart rate slows. Your kidneys shift into nighttime mode, holding onto fluid to prevent dehydration. Your blood becomes slightly more viscous, thicker, simply because you're not drinking or moving. This mild overnight dehydration is normal, but in older adults it's riskier because the kidneys don't regulate sodium and water as well. That makes it easier for blood volume to rise unexpectedly if you add even a modest amount of extra salt before bed. Imagine this: your blood vessels are already stiff and narrow, your blood is thicker. Now you add a salty snack that holds onto water and expands blood volume overnight. It's like forcing thick syrup through a cracked straw. Worse still, your blood pressure doesn't always dip at night the way it's supposed to. In healthy young adults, there's a phenomenon called nocturnal dipping, where blood pressure drops 10 to 20% during sleep, giving arteries a rest. But studies show that after 60, many people lose this dipping pattern. Some even experience reverse dipping, where pressure rises overnight, and this is when most strokes occur, between 3 and 5 a.m., precisely when your system is supposed to be resting. When you pile on extra dietary sodium or fat late at night, you're feeding fuel to that fire. Here's something many people don't realize: even healthy fats can disrupt sleep if eaten at the wrong time. Take walnuts, for example. During the day, they're a brain food superstar, rich in omega-3s that reduce inflammation, support cognition, and protect the heart. But late at night, those same fats require extra blood flow to the digestive tract, pulling blood away from the brain during its crucial repair window. Digesting fat also raises cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol should be low at bedtime to help you fall into deep, restorative sleep. But a big fat-heavy snack can cause a small spike, disrupting your sleep architecture. Poor sleep doesn't just leave you tired. It interferes with blood pressure control, memory consolidation, and immune repair. It's no exaggeration to say that when you eat certain foods, matters almost as much as what you eat. One of my viewers, Brian, 69, shared this story. My uncle was 70, seemed perfectly healthy, and always ate salted cashews before bed because he thought they were good for his heart. Then he had a mild stroke in his sleep. He was lucky it was caught early, but he's been slurring ever since. Watching this really made me rethink what's in my own pantry. Brian's not alone. These stories are heartbreakingly common. It's not about blaming people for making choices they thought were healthy. It's about giving them the right knowledge so they can make truly safe choices as their bodies change. Because the truth is, after 60, your body does change. Your digestive system slows down. Your stomach empties more slowly. The production of digestive enzymes drops. Meals, especially heavy, fatty, or salty ones, sit longer, demanding more blood flow to the gut at precisely the time when your brain needs that blood for nightly cleanup and repair. Your kidneys filter less efficiently, which means they're slower at clearing excess sodium and fluid. Your arteries become stiffer, with more built-up plaque and micro-damage that can rupture under sudden pressure. Your blood itself becomes more prone to clotting with age, a protective mechanism that backfires when it forms clots in the wrong places at the wrong times. These changes don't make you weak, they make you human. They're part of aging. But you can't ignore them. You can't eat like you're 30 if you want to protect your brain and heart at 70. It's not about fear, it's about awareness. Let's talk specifically about the 5 nuts that often cause the most trouble at night for older adults and why. First up, Brazil nuts. These are nutrition powerhouses loaded with selenium, a trace mineral essential for immune health and antioxidant defense. But selenium is a classic example of too much of a good thing. The recommended daily intake for adults over 60 is just 55 micrograms according to the NIH, but 2 Brazil nuts can deliver over 200 micrograms, almost 400% of that limit. Your body doesn't simply flush out excess selenium like it does vitamin C. Selenium accumulates in the liver, blood, even your brain. Over time, this raises platelet stickiness, making clots more likely to form. And if you eat them right before bed, when blood is thicker and pressure surges are more likely, that extra clotting risk is a silent threat. One 2014 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that excess selenium intake was linked to higher stroke risk in older adults, especially those with kidney problems or hypertension. Yet so many people don't know this. I had a patient, Linda, 68, who used to eat Brazil nuts every night before bed thinking they were good for her heart. She was stunned when I explained the real risk. She changed immediately, and she's grateful now that she did. Next, salted almonds. Almonds are healthy, low in sugar, rich in magnesium and good fats, but when they're salted and roasted, they turn into stealthy sodium bombs. Just 20 pieces, a small handful, can deliver over 200 milligrams of sodium. That's over 20% of the daily recommended limit for older adults with hypertension. And that's before you consider the fact that late-night snacks tend to turn into double servings without noticing. Why does that matter so much at night? Because sodium increases blood volume by holding on to water. In young kidneys, that extra water is flushed efficiently, but in older kidneys, it's retained. This is exactly why older adults often see blood pressure surges overnight. Add a salty snack right before bed, and you're asking your cardiovascular system to handle an unexpected spike when it's least prepared. One viewer commented, "I always thought nuts were healthy. Now I see timing matters so much. Even good foods can be dangerous if mistimed. I'm changing my habits immediately. This is the awareness we need to spread." Third, cashews. They look harmless, creamy, comforting, but cashews are high in oxalates, a plant compound that binds with calcium to form tiny crystals. For younger bodies, this isn't a big deal, but after 60, with slower kidney function and more fragile blood vessels, these oxalate calcium crystals can irritate vessel walls, increase inflammation, and stiffen arteries over time. Picture them as microscopic grains of sand scraping the inside of your blood vessels. That irritation makes clotting more likely, especially overnight when blood is already thicker. A small bedtime handful can quietly tilt your chemistry toward stroke risk. The fix? Eat them earlier in the day with plenty of water, or choose lower oxalate alternatives like macadamia nuts or pumpkin seeds. Fourth, sunflower seeds. They seem harmless, tiny, crunchy, even fun to eat mindlessly in front of the TV. But they hide 3 big dangers for seniors. First, they're often heavily salted, sometimes worse than chips. Because they're small and addictive, you can consume 3 to 4 servings without realizing it. That's a huge sodium load right before bed. Second, they're high in omega-6 fatty acids. While omega-6 isn't inherently bad, the modern diet already overloads us with it. Too much fuels inflammation, which is especially dangerous in aging blood vessels. Third, they're often roasted in cheap industrial oils, increasing oxidative stress and further damaging already fragile arteries. Picture your brain's capillaries like thin glass tubes. When inflamed and under pressure, even a small spike can cause them to crack, leading to tiny brain bleeds you don't even feel. But that chip away at memory, balance, and speech. If you have high blood pressure or a history of hemorrhagic stroke, Late-night salted sunflower seeds are a particularly bad idea. Fifth, walnuts. This one surprises many people. Walnuts are true brain food, rich in omega-3s, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory compounds that support memory and fight cognitive decline. But timing matters. During the day, walnuts sharpen focus and boost heart health, but eaten before bed, their fats take longer to digest, pulling blood to the stomach just when your brain needs it most for overnight repair. Worse, digesting fat spikes cortisol slightly, which disrupts deep sleep. And seniors are already more vulnerable to poor sleep quality. Poor sleep doesn't just leave you tired. It's linked to worse blood pressure control, higher stroke risk, and faster cognitive decline. As one older viewer put it perfectly, even the right food at the wrong hour becomes the wrong food. Let's be clear, none of this is about demonizing nuts. They're incredibly nutritious when eaten correctly. The real danger isn't the nut itself, it's the timing, the form, and the context in an aging body. After 60, your system's balance becomes much more delicate. You don't process sodium, fats, minerals, or even water the same way. Late-night snacking on the wrong foods turns what used to be a harmless habit into a real health risk. And it's not just theory or fear tactics. There's a clear physiological chain that makes sense when you understand it. Imagine finishing dinner at 7 p.m., relaxing for a couple of hours, then grabbing a handful of salted almonds or cashews before bed. It feels like a responsible choice compared to sugary desserts, but now your body, preparing to sleep, slows everything down. Your blood thickens. Your kidneys hold on to sodium and water. Your arteries are less flexible. That little handful of nuts isn't being burned off. It's altering your blood chemistry in precisely the hours when you're most vulnerable. It's why doctors are so concerned about nocturnal hypertension, the tendency for blood pressure to rise rather than fall at night in older adults. Healthy younger people get a natural dip in blood pressure while they sleep, giving their hearts and vessels a rest. But for many over 60, that pattern reverses, leading to dangerous surges between 3 and 5 a.m. It's during these hours that most strokes and heart attacks happen. Add in even modest extra sodium or fat before bed, and you're pouring fuel on an already unstable fire. You might not feel anything at all as you drift off to sleep, but deep inside, your cardiovascular system is working overtime under stress. One of my patients, Linda, 68, told me she was shocked when she learned this. For years, she snacked on Brazil nuts every evening, thinking she was protecting her heart. She didn't know that even 2 Brazil nuts can deliver 400% of the recommended daily selenium intake for seniors. Selenium is essential in small doses, but accumulates in the body, making platelets stickier, raising clot risk, and especially threatening overnight when blood flow slows and thickens. She changed her habit immediately. She still eats nuts, but in the morning, with water and in measured amounts. That simple change drastically lowers the risk. The same goes for salted almonds. A single small handful can load you with over 200 milligrams of sodium. And let's be honest, late-night snacking rarely stops at one handful. The kidneys of older adults can't clear that sodium efficiently overnight. Blood volume rises, pressure spikes in the early morning hours, exactly when arteries are least able to absorb that strain. Many people believe they're choosing the healthy alternative by swapping chips for almonds, and they are if they eat them at the right time. But before bed, those salted almonds can betray them in the worst way. Cashews too have a hidden danger. High in oxalates, they bind with calcium to form microscopic crystals. In younger bodies with robust kidney function, this isn't much of a problem. But with age, as kidneys slow and arteries lose elasticity, those crystals can irritate vessel walls, causing low-grade inflammation that encourages clot formation. Imagine tiny grains of sand scraping the insides of fragile pipes. A small serving before bed can tip your body's chemistry toward risk, especially in the dehydrated, slow circulating state of sleep. That's why I advise older patients to enjoy cashews earlier in the day with water, or to swap them for lower oxalate options like macadamia nuts or pumpkin seeds. Sunflower seeds feel so innocent, tiny, crunchy, familiar, but they hide a triple threat for older adults. They're often heavily salted, sometimes worse than chips. They're high in omega-6 fats that fuel inflammation, and they're roasted in cheap industrial oils that increase oxidative stress. Because they're small and easy to overeat, it's common to down 3 or 4 servings without noticing, an enormous sodium load late at night. Meanwhile, the omega-6 content contributes to an inflammatory environment in aging blood vessels, already under strain from high pressure and plaque buildup. Picture your brain's tiny capillaries like glass tubes under pressure. Add inflammation, salt-driven pressure spikes, and thicker overnight blood, and it doesn't take much to cause a crack, a tiny, painless brain bleed that chips away at memory and balance. Even walnuts, often praised as the ultimate brain food, have their own timing risk. During the day, they're fantastic, rich in omega-3s, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatories that support memory and reduce cardiovascular risk. But at night, their high-fat content demands digestive energy and increased blood flow to the gut, pulling blood away from the brain exactly when it needs support for repair. Worse, digesting fat spikes cortisol slightly, the stress hormone that should be low at bedtime to promote deep, restorative sleep. Poor sleep isn't just annoying, it's directly linked to worse blood pressure control, higher stroke risk, memory decline, and weakened immune function. As one older viewer put it perfectly, even the right food at the wrong hour becomes the wrong food. This is why I want you to really think about not just what you eat, but when you eat it. A handful of nuts at 10 a.m., fantastic, great for energy, heart health, anti-inflammatory benefits. A handful at 10 p.m., potentially dangerous, precisely because your body's natural overnight changes make it vulnerable. It's a matter of respecting your biology as it is, not as you wish it were. Because the truth is, after 60, your body is different. That's not weakness. That's simply the reality of aging. Your arteries have seen decades of pressure. Your kidneys don't clear sodium like they used to. Your digestive system slows. Your blood thickens more easily at night. None of this is to frighten you or tell you to stop eating nuts altogether. On the contrary, I want you to keep eating them, but I want you to eat them smart, to understand the timing, the preparation, the portion sizes, because those small adjustments aren't trivial. They're the difference between supporting your heart and brain health for years to come or quietly undermining them. This is about empowerment. When you know better, you can choose better. It's about making small, sustainable changes that match the reality of your body's needs. It's about respecting the gift of long life by learning how to work with your body instead of against it. So if you found yourself eating a handful of salted nuts before bed because you thought it was healthy, don't beat yourself up. You were trying to do the right thing. Now you know better, and tonight is your chance to do better. Now let's talk about how you can actually fix this. Because the good news is, you don't have to cut nuts out of your life. You don't have to fear healthy food. You just have to respect the timing, the form, and your body's overnight needs. That means shifting the way you think about snacking in the evening. The first key is timing. Instead of grabbing nuts before bed, try eating them in the morning or early afternoon. That's when your digestion is most active, your circulation is stronger, and your kidneys are better able to handle sodium and minerals. By day, your body is moving, drinking water, processing nutrients more efficiently. Eating nuts earlier lets you get all the benefits, the healthy fats, antioxidants, minerals, without the overnight risks. One viewer commented that she now soaks her nuts overnight and mixes them into her morning oatmeal. That's brilliant. Soaking nuts reduces anti-nutrients like phytic acid and makes minerals more bioavailable. It also lowers the sodium load if you rinse salted nuts before eating, and eating them in the morning means you'll digest them when your body is alert and metabolically active. This isn't about deprivation or fear, it's about aligning with your biology. Another simple fix: hydration. One of the biggest reasons blood thickens at night is mild dehydration. Many seniors cut back on water in the evening to avoid nighttime bathroom trips, which is understandable, but that can quietly raise stroke risk by making blood thicker and more sluggish when circulation slows. The solution isn't to drink a gallon before bed, but to stay well hydrated during the day, especially in the afternoon. If you want to sip a small glass of water in the early evening, that's fine too. Just keep your system balanced. Even mild dehydration is enough to shift blood viscosity into the danger zone. There's also the question of portion control. Even good nuts can become a problem if you eat too many. One small handful, about 1 ounce or 28 grams, is a standard serving. Late at night, people rarely measure. They pour from a jar in front of the TV, and suddenly they've eaten triple the sodium or fat they intended. Measuring out your serving earlier in the day is one of the simplest, most effective ways to reduce hidden risks. Preparation matters too. Choose raw or dry roasted nuts without added oils or salt. Avoid heavily salted mixes or those roasted in industrial seed oils, which increase inflammation. If you love seeds, opt for unsalted pumpkin or chia seeds. You can soak chia seeds in water to make them easier to digest and reduce oxalate content. The bottom line is this: your body at 65, 70, 75 is not the same as it was at 30. It has different needs, different vulnerabilities, and it deserves respect. That means you can't just follow generic healthy eating advice without adjusting it to your stage of life. You have to think about what happens inside you, your blood pressure patterns, kidney function, vascular health, and sleep cycles. A handful of nuts might be healthy at lunch, but risky at bedtime. Let's talk about another overlooked factor: sleep itself. As we age, our sleep architecture changes. Deep restorative sleep becomes harder to maintain. Even small disturbances matter. Eating late, even if it's healthy, forces your body to prioritize digestion instead of repair. Blood is diverted to the gut. Cortisol rises slightly. Your nervous system stays more alert. All of that erodes sleep quality. And poor sleep is a vicious cycle. It raises blood pressure, worsens glucose control, weakens immune function, and accelerates cognitive decline. This is why thinking holistically is so important. It's not just don't eat nuts at night. It's align your eating patterns with your body's natural rhythms. Respect the overnight window as a time for rest, healing, and recovery. Give your brain and heart the peace they need to restore themselves without extra pressure surges, thickened blood, or inflammatory stress. You might be wondering, why don't doctors warn about this more clearly? Partly, it's time constraints. A typical primary care visit is 10 to 15 minutes. There's so much to cover that dietary timing often gets left out. Partly, it's that healthy eating advice has been oversimplified in public messaging. Nuts are healthy is true, but incomplete. It doesn't account for the aging body. It doesn't respect the nuance that matters so much after 60. That's why conversations like this matter. It's why I'm spending this time to explain it carefully. I want you to have the real science-based knowledge you need to make safe choices. Because I've seen too many patients who did everything they thought was right, but who were never told that the rules change with age. One viewer, Karen, 69, wrote in after watching a similar talk: "I always thought my salted almonds at night were the healthy choice. I'm so glad I know better now. I've switched to a small portion with my morning tea, and I sleep better, My blood pressure readings have even improved. These changes are simple, they're sustainable, and they can save lives. So let's recap the core ideas of this part before we move on. After 60, your body changes in ways that make late-night eating riskier. Blood vessels stiffen, blood thickens, kidneys retain sodium, and blood pressure patterns become less predictable. This creates the perfect conditions for a stroke while you sleep, especially if you add fuel to the fire with a salty or fatty snack. Nuts are healthy when eaten right. Earlier in the day, raw or dry roasted, unsalted, in measured portions. Hydration helps keep blood from getting too viscous. Soaking nuts can reduce anti-nutrients and salt. Respecting your body's natural overnight rhythm means giving it a break from digestion and stress so it can repair. This isn't about fear, it's about knowledge. It's about respecting the body you have today, not the one you had 30 years ago, and it's about taking small, wise steps that support long-term independence, memory, and quality of life. Because the truth is, stroke doesn't just steal movement or speech, it steals your freedom, your confidence, your ability to stay in your own home, with your own routines, connected to the people you love. And it often does it silently, with no warning, while you sleep. If you care about protecting your heart and brain, pay attention to these small habits. They are not trivial. They are the difference between waking up healthy and waking up unable to speak your spouse's name. If this message resonates with you, please share it with someone you care about. It might seem like a small change to move your favorite snack to the morning, but it's a change that could literally save a life. If you've stayed with me this far, you're already doing something most people never do. You're taking your health seriously. That's the first and most important step, because honestly, most people don't want to think about this. They don't want to hear that what they eat, even something as healthy as nuts, could be quietly hurting them. They want to believe they're fine, that aging hasn't changed their body, that they can eat like they always have. But the truth is, denial is the most dangerous choice you can make after 60. Stroke risk doesn't care if you don't want to think about it. Blood pressure doesn't wait for your permission to surge. Your arteries don't check if you're ready before they stiffen. These things happen whether you acknowledge them or not. That's why the people who do choose to learn, to adapt, to change, those are the people who stay independent, who stay in their homes, who keep talking to their grandkids, who hold on to the memories that matter. I've seen this over and over as a doctor. 2 patients, same age, same diagnosis, but one decides to understand their body and work with it, while the other keeps living like they're 30. 10 years later, one is still living at home, walking, cooking their own meals, calling their kids every night. The other is in a nursing home, unable to speak, unable to recognize family. And the difference? It's rarely some miracle drug or surgery. It's these small daily choices. When you eat, how much you eat, how much you move, how well you sleep. That's why I'm telling you, don't dismiss this as just another health lecture. Don't tell yourself, oh well, I'll worry about it later. Because stroke doesn't give you a later. It strikes when you least expect it, often while you're asleep. The damage is done before you even know it happened. And even if you survive, the cost can be devastating. Speech therapy, wheelchairs, dependence on others for the simplest tasks, watching the frustration in your spouse's eyes because they miss the person you used to be. That's not fear-mongering. That's the reality I see every day in my practice, and it's preventable. So let's really focus on what you can do starting tonight. First, make your evenings about rest, not digestion. Your body needs downtime. Your brain needs consistent blood flow to clear out toxins, consolidate memories, and repair cells. Don't burden it with a late-night flood of fat and salt. Make dinner your last big meal. If you need something before bed, keep it light and simple. Herbal tea, a little fruit, a piece of toast, warm milk if it works for you. Second, plan your nuts. Don't give them up entirely. They're good for you when eaten right. Buy raw or dry roasted, unsalted varieties. Measure out your serving in the morning. Pair it with water. Enjoy them as part of breakfast or an early afternoon snack when your body is primed to process them safely. Third, rethink your hydration habits. Don't deprive yourself of water all day because you're afraid of nighttime bathroom trips. Drink regularly in the morning and afternoon. Taper gently in the evening. Remember, mild dehydration is one of the sneakiest stroke risks at night because it thickens your blood when you're lying still for hours. Fourth, move. It doesn't have to be dramatic. A 10-minute stroll after dinner, light stretching, even housework counts. Movement improves circulation, helps manage blood sugar, reduces blood pressure, and improves sleep quality. Don't think you need to train like an athlete. Just stay gently active. Fifth, guard your sleep like it's medicine, because it is. Your body heals at night. Your brain resets. Your blood pressure is supposed to drop, giving your arteries a break. But that only happens if you let it. No big meals late, no screens in bed. Keep a regular bedtime. Create a quiet, cool, dark space. Cut back on caffeine and alcohol in the evening. Sixth, educate your family. Don't let your partner keep their old habits in the dark. Share what you've learned. Talk to your adult children so they know what changes they'll need to make one day too. This knowledge doesn't just help you, it protects the people you love. I can't tell you how many times I've heard patients say, "If only I'd known." It breaks my heart every time. But you don't have to be one of them. You do know. You're learning right now. That's your chance. I want you to picture yourself in 5 years. Are you waking up in your own bed, walking to the kitchen to make coffee, calling your grandchild to wish them a happy birthday? Or are you in a hospital bed with tubes in your arms, trying to remember your own name? The difference is these daily choices, the small, seemingly boring habits that quietly protect your arteries, your brain, your independence. One of my viewers, Ellen, 74, shared, "I didn't think it mattered. I'd been eating salted sunflower seeds every night since I was 40. Then my friend had a stroke in her sleep. That scared me. I watched this, changed my habit, and now I do seeds at lunch instead. It feels like nothing, but I sleep better and my doctor says my BP has improved. I feel safer." That's exactly it. No one's saying you have to become a monk. You don't have to cut out all your favorite foods. You don't have to live in fear. You just have to be smarter. Respect the body you have now, not the one you used to have. Because that's the real gift of aging. It's not about losing strength. It's about gaining wisdom, about learning how to live well with your body instead of fighting it. And if you're thinking, it's too late for me to change, let me tell you, I've seen people in their 80s make these shifts and see results. Blood pressure that used to spike at night evens out. Sleep improves. The risk of stroke drops. It's never too late to choose health. So if you're watching this and nodding along thinking, I really should do that, don't just think it. Do it. Tonight. Move the nuts to tomorrow's breakfast. Drink that glass of water this afternoon. Take a short walk after dinner. Go to bed without the heavy snack. These aren't big, heroic acts. They're small moments of love for yourself. They're quiet ways of saying, I want to stay here. I want to stay me. I want to be there for the people who need me. Because stroke doesn't just rob you, it robs the people who love you. It steals your voice, your memories, your presence, and it does it silently, often without a second chance. That's why I'm asking you to take this seriously. If you found this helpful, please share it. Don't keep it to yourself. Think of one person, your spouse, your sibling, your neighbor, your friend at church, who needs to hear this. Send it to them. Talk about it. Because this isn't fear-mongering. This is life-saving knowledge. And if you want more guidance, if you want honest, compassionate, science-backed health tips for life after 60, please consider subscribing. Not because I need it, but because I want you to have this information whenever you need it. You deserve to age with dignity, with independence, with the memories and people you love still by your side. Thank you for caring enough about yourself to watch this all the way through. It tells me you're exactly the kind of person who's going to make these changes and who's going to stay healthy, strong, and present for years to come. Let's do it together.